Your mom was wrong. When you're sick, if you're like me, you probably just default to what your mommy used to serve you when you were a wee little theorist homesick from school, chicken noodle soup. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? What makes this recipe the go-to cure? Does it really work, or is it just an old wives' tale? Today, we're gonna figure all of this out as we explore what the best thing to eat is when you've come down with a sickness. Ooh, wah, ah, ah, ah. Hello internet, welcome to Food Theory, the channel that's chiller than gazpacho and hotter than ramen. But that's mostly because I'm still a little sunburnt from my egg cooking experiment. Maybe you could help me feel better by giving that subscribe button a soothing massage. Anyway, with cold and flu season just around the corner, I've been searching for the ultimate medicine. Well, medicinal food, that is. When I was a kid, if I got sick, it was chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup with a soda on the side all day. It was the trick to get rid of the sniffles. But I've always been a skeptic. Now, I'm not an infectious disease specialist, just a guy who knows his way around a can opener. And I want to use that skill to find out if chicken noodle soup is as good for you as your mother says it is, or if she's feeding you a big fat can of lies. To do so, I want to take a look at what the body actually needs to recover from colds and the flu, and see if chicken noodle soup actually is the best meal for the job. If not, we're taking the theorist approach and optimizing the best meal possible for getting us back on our feet. But in order to concoct the perfect recipe to quell those icky, achy symptoms, we need to understand what causes them. Most of the illnesses you'll catch in your lifetime will either be the common cold or the flu. It can be difficult to tell the difference between the two, and that's because they share a lot of the same symptoms. Although both of them are highly contagious respiratory illnesses, the main thing that sets them apart is that they're actually caused by different viruses. The flu is caused by the influenza virus. Makes sense, it's right there in the name. Symptoms include fever, chills, cough, sore throat, a runny nose or stuffy nose, muscle aches, fatigue, vomiting, and something painful that rhymes with schmierrhea. Usually, these symptoms are more severe than with a common cold and can lead to serious complications if they go untreated. The flu can cause pneumonia, a lung infection, or other bacterial infections that require hospitalization and antibiotic treatment. The common cold, on the other hand, can be caused by at least 200 different viruses, 50% of which are rhinoviruses, and another 20% are due to coronaviruses. But just to be clear, the strains of coronaviruses that are linked to the common cold are not the same as the COVID-19 strain. Symptoms of the common cold include sneezing, runny nose, cough, nasal congestion, headache, and fever. Unlike the flu, a cold usually clears up after a few days or a couple of weeks without serious medical intervention. Regardless of whether you have the cold or flu, the doctor's advice is pretty much the same though. Get lots of rest, use a humidifier, take a shot of Dayquil, and stay hydrated. Hydration is actually the most important element when it comes to recovery because water helps the body flush out the illness. Proper hydration also keeps your mucus thin, meaning you're gonna feel less gunk in your sinuses and lungs. When you're sick, it's pretty easy to get dehydrated, and it happens quickly. If you have a fever, that comes with sweats, which means you need to replenish your body's fluid like you would after a jog around the block. Then you have to consider all the critical water and nutrients you're losing while your stomach is finding horrible and creative ways to humble you before the porcelain throne. Doesn't matter which end it's coming out of, you're losing water in the process. But even if you don't have intense sweats or tummy troubles, your body is still losing water faster than normal with a fever. Fevers are a result of our metabolism kicking into a higher gear, which causes our body temperatures to rise as our cells transform our energy reserves into weapons for fighting off infections. Sounds awesome, feels horrible. And all of those reactions require oxygen and hydrogen to function. So, you know, both pretty key parts of H2O. This means when you're sick, your body uses a lot more water than usual to sustain your increased metabolism. A fever of 101 degrees, for example, increases your metabolic rate by about 10%. This is part of the reason why you may experience weight loss when you get sick. Your burning body is burning calories. I know this goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Don't go trying to get sick if you want to lose a few pounds. Cons massively outweigh the pros. Additionally, because metabolism also needs more oxygen to function, you may start to breathe faster to compensate. Quicker breathing translates to losing more of the body's sweet moisture with each breath. So getting your water levels back up is super important. But to truly recover from an illness, water alone won't cut it. You're gonna need to replenish key vitamins and electrolytes too. You may hear or read that word a lot, electrolytes, whether it's on a sports drink or water bottle, but in case you don't know what they actually are, basically, electrolytes are the essential minerals that help maintain the body's hydration levels. And they also regulate your nerves and muscle functions. Sweating, vomiting, and a case of the muddy squirtles will all deplete your electrolytes. So it's really important to reintroduce more into your system. That's why people from athletes to hungover 30-year-olds alike trust Gatorade. It's filled with everything they need to recover from a big game or a wild night out. One key electrolyte for cold recovery is zinc. Multiple trials have found that participants who were given zinc supplements during a cold would shorten the duration of the illness by up to 2 whole days. It should be noted though that too much zinc can irritate the stomach and interfere with certain antibiotics, and way too much zinc can be deadly. Luckily, the amount of zinc obtained through your diet is probably not going to trigger these complications. But the big electrolyte that's necessary when it comes to recovery is sodium. Proper sodium intake keeps your blood levels balanced, and your blood is where all those white blood cells, the thing that Chris Rock voiced in Osmosis Jones, are fighting off viral infections. The front line of the battlefield. This is one reason why lightly salted foods like crackers make for a great snack when you're feeling down in the gutter. The other reason is because they're absorbent. They help soak up some of the stomach acid that your body is trying to give a quick exit to. But that's if you're even hungry. Loss of appetite is really common when you're sick, and that's because digesting food takes energy. And when we're sick, we need all of our energy to go into fighting the infection, not breaking down lunch. So the stomach purges what isn't fully digested and closes up shop. You may have heard that the human body can survive 3 weeks without food. This is because a well-stocked body has plenty of energy reserves, so it isn't actually a massive problem for our bodies to temporarily go into recovery mode. But even though our body puts us into kind of a hibernation, at some point we've got to replenish our bodies of the nutrients it's been burning through in its battle against the flu and the cold. So the question is, does chicken noodle soup check all of the boxes our body needs? A quick glance at the soup shows us that it does indeed have water. But what about the other vital nutrients our bodies need to heal? Can a simple can of Campbell's really alleviate the symptoms of over 200 different viruses? Seemingly, the answer is yeah. Chicken noodle soup is great for replenishing electrolytes. The salty broth covers the sodium necessity. And while chicken doesn't have as much zinc as, say, beef or pork, it does have plenty of electrolytes while also being easier to digest than other meats, since it's low in fat. The noodles portion of chicken noodle also aids in the digestibility category. Like those crackers we were talking about, noodles make for a great bland sponge for your stomach's acid. When it comes to other nutrients, chicken noodle also aces the test in the lamest way possible. Vitamin C, another key component to the immune system's battle against the bug, is found in a lot of the vegetables that round out the soup, particularly in carrots. Now, I actually want to go deeper into vitamin C's overhyped role in fighting illnesses, but that's a tangent for another video. For now, let's just focus on chicken noodle soup and how this classic comfort meal isn't just a heaping bowl of placebo effect. Chicken soup really does help you feel better and faster. There's historic and scientific evidence to back it up. An Egyptian Jewish physician and philosopher, Moshe ben Maimon, first recommended chicken soup as a remedy for upper respiratory infections in his 12th century treatise. But its origins trace back even farther than that. Moshe ben Maimon actually cited sources from ancient Greece in his assessment as evidence of chicken soup's long-standing medicinal benefits. But don't take a few dead guys' word for it. Modern day doctors still recommend this age-old soother of colds and flus. In addition to helping promote hydration, slurping a hot bowl of soup can temporarily open up your nasal passages, allowing you to breathe through your sinuses just a little bit better than before. It's kind of similar to taking a steamy shower or using a humidifier to give your stuffy nose a few minutes of sweet relief. And if you're not eating much because you feel gross, the salt, spices, vegetables, chicken, and noodles provide electrolytes, proteins, and carbohydrates when your body needs them most. Managing to get all the nutrients your body requires to produce energy to fight off infection can be pretty hard when you're sick. So chicken noodle soup is like a one-stop shop for the basics. Most importantly though is that scientists have declared chicken noodle soup a powerful inhibitor of neutrophil chemotaxis. Neutrophils are a special type of white blood cell that protects your body from infection, and neutrophil chemotaxis is just their movement to the site of an infection in your body. By slowing down the neutrophils, it allows them to concentrate in the areas of your body that need healing. Studies also show that eating chicken soup when you're sick can actually provide long-term health benefits, like reducing the likelihood of prolonged worsening asthma in the aftermath. Okay, so maybe mom was right and chicken noodle soup really is the best thing to eat while sick. But this is food theory and I just can't accept that my mother was right. There's gotta be a way modern knowledge can elevate chicken noodle soup past what a couple of ancient doctors thought up. I mean, those dudes used to suggest drinking your own pee as a cure for liver disease. So let's hack this soup. Just need to bypass this mainframe here, take down this firewall, quarterback is toast, and we're in. Alright, first chicken noodle soup hack: don't eat canned chicken noodle soup. If you're in a pinch, it's fine. But if you want to maximize the benefits of the soup, you're gonna still want to use fresh ingredients that still have have all their nutrients. Now, I know you might be too sick to cook, so here's my permission to you to give puppy dog eyes to your closest loved ones and guilt them into firing up a pot on your behalf. Now, chicken noodle is a great base for the Theorist soul, but there's a few things we can add to really kick your recovery into overdrive. For starters, let's talk about the vegetables and the broth. Traditionally, the broth of CNS is pretty basic, but we can spice it up just enough to sneak in nutrients without upsetting the stomach. For starters, adding ginger root is necessary for a solid recovery. Ginger root is the reason people believe that ginger ales are good for a common cold, but we've already debunked that in a previous short. What's great about ginger is that it has antiviral and antibacterial qualities, meaning it's only gonna help you. Turmeric is another spice we can add to the broth to add in some flavor in addition to its antiviral, anti-inflammatory benefits. You might be starting to see a pattern here. The name of the game is reducing inflammation by helping your system kill bacteria and foreign substances. Inflammation is caused by your body sending in those white blood cells to fight the bad stuff, but too much can lead to some friendly fire. So keeping the inflammation in check is important to getting back to full health. Also, if your stomach can handle it and your symptoms are less queasy than stuffy, heat up your broth just a tad bit to help clear your sinuses with a splash of chili oil or peppers. Again, avoid this if you can't keep anything down or you're sensitive to spicy, but for those that can handle just a jolt of heat, this is the way to go. Moving out of the broth, let's forget about the noodles and instead substitute them with a Jewish favorite, matzo balls. Matzo ball soup is essentially already chicken noodle, and let me tell you, they don't call this delectable treat Jewish penicillin for nothing. Matzo balls give you a stronger carbohydrate boost of energy than flimsy noodles alone to help your body fight. So we have our improved broth and our upgraded carbohydrate. The last ingredient to transform is the star of the soup, the chicken. And the only way to do that is by shoving in the D. Vitamin D, obviously. See, electrolytes, zinc, vitamin C, they all get talked about a lot when it comes to remedies, but the real Mac Daddy cold fighter is none other than vitamin D. Studies show that vitamin D not only helps fight the sniffles you may have already gotten, but can actually help in preventing you from getting them in the first place. Keeping your levels up is big, especially because flu season, the winter months, typically means you're getting less sun, so your body makes less of the vitamin. Chicken isn't really the best source of it. In fact, no meat that comes from the land really is. The answer comes from under the sea. Fish like salmon are a great way to get your dosage of vitamin D. Salmon in particular is easy for your body to digest like chicken. That way you won't be getting extra rumblies in your tummies. So there you have it. Next time you start feeling under the weather, you can stick with the tried and true chicken noodle. But if you want to really cut down the amount of time you're sneezy, wheezy, and overall leaky, throw out the Campbells and make yourself a ginger salmon matzo soup. Turns out I can't quite make the yo mama joke I was hoping to make since she wasn't totally wrong, but at least she wasn't totally right either. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. Speaking of chicken noodle, if you've ever wondered why everything tastes like chicken, make sure to click the link on the screen now. And as always, I'll see you next week.